Hello all, my name is Olivia Brock and today I will be doing my capstone presentation titled Monitoring and Comparing Start and End of Growing Seasons for Native Tree Species in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in response to climate change dynamics. I would like to give a special shout out to the National Park Service within the Great Smoky Mountains, the National Phenology Network, and Beth Carson for all of the help. First, a background into anthropogenic climate change. 97% of scientists are in agreement with anthropogenic charged climate change. Human activity, largely through burning of fossil fuels, including carbon dioxide and methane, contributes to climate change symptoms, of which include global warming, drought, and increasing natural disasters. Nature's defense is through carbon sinks, through terrestrial ecosystems, oceans, and forests. Forests, including a boreal forest, which is the Great Smoky Mountains National Park biome, cover 30% of land surfaces and absorb about 45% of anthropogenic carbon dioxide emissions. Magnitude and capacity of carbon sinks is determined by vegetation turnover rate, also known as the time elapsed between input of a carbon atom through photosynthetic fixation and its loss through respiratory and non-respiratory pathways. As most of us know, the sun is crucial in photosynthesis, an aspect of this project we will be discussing later on. Forests are under tremendous pressure due to climate change, impacting start and end of growing season. Consequences include reduction in capacity of carbon storage, triggering late spring leaf out but early spring bloom. For this project and the deliverable, the focus will be on the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park is located on the North Carolina-Tennessee border, covering 522,427 acres. The park sees over 12 million visitors a year and is part of the Appalachian Train, the ninth oldest mountain chain in the world at 1.9 billion years old. Previously collected data in this region has seen earlier spring bloom and a delayed end of season growth at 43% in the northern hemisphere. Data has been showing a trend in carbon cycling that is crucial in climate change projection models. Data for this project was conducted within the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and is through a partnership known as the National Parks Service Adopt-a-Plot program in conjunction with the National Phenology Network. Through the Adopt-a-Plot program, via a partnership between the National Phenology Network and the National Park Service, 20 plots within the Great Smoky Mountains were chosen, all various sizes with 10 to 6 individuals assigned to each plot. Volunteers were able to choose their own plot and set their own observation schedule. Data was collected from March to October, from the first leaf bud to the final leaf drop, and were monitored at least twice a week. The volunteers through the Adopt-a-Plot program played a vital role in data collection, and this data has been used by multiple organizations, including the U.S. Geological Survey and many GIS databases. As stated on the previous page, 20 various plots were chosen. Pictured to the right is the Newfound Gap Observation and Visitor Center. All the photos in this presentation were taken by me, including this one. 5 key species were observed, including yellow birch, yellow buckeye, sugar maple, American beech, and Carolina silverbell. I will also note that this photo was taken in early March at the plot that I was stationed at. Phenostages, including budding, breaking, canopy size information, and Obsidian were all recorded via Nature's Notebook. Nature's Notebook is an app where volunteers can select their plot, enter a date, time, temperature, and weather, and record phenostage data via tree tag numbers. All of this data is public domain and multiple organizations have access. Here is images from the folders given to all volunteers. As you can see, this is the newfound gap phenology plot that is in this photograph here. The path that I was on is up in this direction. As you can see, there are numbers that correlate with a native tree species along a path. Each number is tagged on the tree so that all volunteers were easily able to identify. Photos were also given showing unique features, including warped branches and humps on trees to further help volunteers recognize observable species. Here we have another diagram called Yellow Birch that help volunteers identify their leaf shape and color, twigs, flowers, and seeds. All of this helped volunteers to correctly identify and locate observed species. I chose to create an informational pamphlet with my partner for a couple of reasons. Looking at the complexity of data usage and the vast amount of park visitors, I knew I wanted to create an educational tool. Working with my partner, we decided on an informational pamphlet titled Climate Change is Changing Leaves. The pamphlet has served four main purposes. Firstly is to break down complex information and spread knowledge. To many of us in the sustainability and environmental field, this knowledge is not new. However, to many park visitors, it is. Being able to break down more complex knowledge into a more digestible manner can help to spread and increase awareness and knowledge. I also wanted to extend data use. As you look at the pamphlet in the next slides, you will see how that data was put to use in GIS spatial maps. My partner also wanted to help gain traction and get more volunteers into the program and potentially increase the number of plots observed, to then again increase knowledge and power within visitors to the park and locals. I personally also wanted to inspire personal research. I know that as an individual, when I see complex information, I like to go out and do my own research, and I wanted this pamphlet to get individuals' toes wet in the realm of climate change and its impacts within the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This is the title section to the pamphlet titled Climate Change is Changing Leaves, an overview of the Adopt-a-Plot program and climate change impacts, which again is in conjunction with the National Park Service and the National Phenology Network. I won't go through and read all of the pamphlet slides individually, but this first section describes the Adopt-a-Plot program, what data is collected, and how it's used. Here again, we've got an image of Newfound Gap. I personally wanted to use my own images within this section of the pamphlet, as well as some images of volunteers. The next is a 2-page pamphlet discussing why change is not always good. Individuals often mistake climate and weather. I wanted this section to break down those differences and include some of that extended data usage that I had mentioned previously. Here you can see 2 images produced by the National Phenology Network, the University of Arizona, and the U.S. Geologic Survey. This top image to the left depicts leaf out. This is when leaves will first begin to emerge. Here is where the Great Smoky Mountains National Park is located, right along this border, right around here. And the blue represents that leaf outing happened roughly 20 days later than average. But then if you look, here is a map depicting spring bloom. Here again, we have where the Great Smoky Mountains National Park is located. And as you can see, it's starting roughly 20 days earlier than average. I wanted park visitors to see a comparison between the northern and southern hemispheres and sections of the U.S. and get a glimpse for how, yes, it is impacting the Great Smoky Mountains National Park where you are currently located, but as you can see, it has a vast impact across the United States, as this is global warming. Next is a section entitled Make the Change. Here I wanted to give park visitors an overview of what climate change entails, including symptoms such as rising temperature and storm frequency, and as well how it plays an impact and role in the overall health of vital ecosystems. From here, I transitioned to Be the Change. My partner and I wanted to give individuals visiting the park an opportunity to make simple changes in your own life that are also sustainable, including meatless Mondays, recycling, and reducing driving. We also included a section that inspires them to again ask about how they too can become a volunteer with the National Park Service Adopt a Plot program. In conclusion, as I had mentioned earlier, in the presentation, climate change impacts are very poorly understood. Scientists can, however, create climate projections that help determine important thresholds. Key in these predictions are carbon sinks, including the Great Smoky Mountains. This explains the importance of data collection. However, drawing public attention is necessary in leading change. Park visitors have noticed fall and leaf abscission later in the year and spring earlier in the year. And these individuals have made these comments and have approached myself and many other volunteers with questions. So it is evident that the public is making observations that entail the impacts of climate change. Individuals can then look at this pamphlet, take this small snippet of information, and then can use this simple educational tool to spark self-interest and ignite self-action. Here are lists of my literature cited. Thank you so much for listening.